Did you miss your deadline to renew your Medicaid coverage? You can still send your completed annual review form to Healthy Connections Medicaid. You may be assigned to another health plan, but you can ask to come back to First Choice within 60 days of renewed Medicaid eligibility. It's your family. It's your choice. First Choice is the right choice. Renew and choose us. Visit selecthealthofsc.com/renew to learn more.
Wells Fargo presents one of the surest ways to grow your money. A Wells Fargo CD account, where you can earn a 5.00% annual percentage yield on an 11-month term with a minimum opening deposit of $5,000. Visit a Wells Fargo branch or wellsfargo.com/CD rates to open a CD account and start growing your savings with us.
Wells Fargo Bank, N.A., member FDIC.
It's the pop culture field, and you will.
Hello and welcome to the Pop Culture Field Manual podcast, sitting right at the intersection of weapons, action, the military, and pop culture. My name is Cameron Fath. I am one of your hosts, and I'm seated next to the ultimately amazing and way more handsome than I am.
Thank you for sticking to the script that I wrote.
Yeah. Perfect. I actually went off the top of the dome. I was feeling really giving today.
I'm Israel Wright. Yes, I am also a host of this show, which is weird because normally you think there's only one host, but we play against type.
Yeah.
We actually both host.
We break social norms. We promote being different because everyone knows different is bad. We want to be bad.
We want to be bad. Yeah, because we're evil. Yeah.
Evil people. And
you're using this clip 10 years from now to cancel me because he said he was evil.
And we need to abolish evilism.
Yes,
is
evilism.
That a thing?
Evilism? Yeah, we're going to abolish the
Okay, well, that's a theme.
Republic of Evilism.
I mean, I'm glad we went down that road because that is a theme of today's podcast. Because you know what else is evil? Monsters.
Monsters are evil. Sometimes monsters are good though, because we're going to talk about Godzilla, and he's not always bad.
Way to just blow what I wrote down. They have to find that out.
I'm sorry.
First. Okay.
Okay. No. Go ahead.
Okay, but folks, today we are going to be discussing monsters versus the military. What is your definition of a monster, Izzy?
That's the thing. That's why we need to talk about this for a couple seconds because. Like a monster could, when I think monster, like the traditional one, it's like the kaiju monster, the giant 50-foot tall monster from whoever or wherever, probably somewhere in the Pacific Rim area, which we'll talk about. Yeah. Attacking the cities and stuff, coming out of nowhere as a result of man's nuclear weapon experimentation.
Exactly. And when I think monsters, I mean, your classics like your vampires, your werewolves, your demons, your oh my
monsters.
But
like it could be like ghosts or aliens.
Aliens are monsters. Anything that's not human.
Anything that's not us, that's different,
is a monster.
Could a person be a monster?
I think a person can be a monster.
I mean, sure. We all know.
People are the worst of monsters, man. Just like the governor from Walking Dead, that dude's a monster. I say that because I'm literally rewatching the entire series right now.
Literally the last.
But you're waiting for him to die, and it takes like a season. And you're just like, this dude sucks.
Yeah,
he's a monster.
Heads in jars. And stuff like
and
that.
Keeps his dead daughter alive. Shocker. Dude, that's crazy.
We all know that when we're talking about these things in pop culture, we're really just talking about ourselves.
Yeah, we're trying to manifest ourselves. It's because we hate that part of ourselves and we see it in other people and we want them to die because we're too useless to kill it inside ourselves.
Right. We're too weak to kill it inside ourselves. Exactly. We just kill other people instead. That's easier.
Yeah, that's the way it should be, right? That's healthy.
I love how dark we're getting. This is a very monstrous type way of conversation.
We should have saved this for Halloween and dressed up in costumes.
Yeah.
And talked about monsters.
Oh, we got to do. Oh, that's coming.
It's coming. Yeah. Stand by for that one, everybody. But I think we've picked the brain a little bit. We've picked the brain. We've picked it.
We've picked it.
Put a toothpick. It's been picked. Us. And but who are you gonna call when there's a monster present? The real heroes. Not Ghostbusters. Those dudes are fucking sissies. We're gonna call the U.S. military because when shit goes wrong, people need fighters.
Absolutely.
We need to choose the military.
It's almost like it is a cliche.
It is.
when there's something going on. The military is there in some regard. It's they either originated the monster or they fight ineffectually against the monster, like they're total and it's some little teenage boys have to save the day or,
exactly. Somehow some Steven Spielberg script comes out and you have this ragtag group of kids that just destroy the monster that the U.S. military couldn't with our bajillion dollars worth of weaponry.
They talk to it and it learns the value of love and compassion.
It does,
and then it leaves peacefully.
And it lives among us in peace, and then we work alongside of it.
Yes,
to kill other monsters.
To kill other monsters. Yeah. That's right.
Well, are you ready for this deep dive?
What's the first one, man? I'm excited.
Okay, so
I got 3 or 4 ideas just as we're sitting here.
That's
talking
good.
About it.
That's why we do this, right? That's why we do this. It adds to the script. But okay, the first one I wanted to talk about. It's a little new, and I mean a little because it came out 3 years ago. But did you see Overlord when it came out?
Overlord.
Yeah. Overlord's great.
I thought it was one of those hidden gems that kind of. I don't know that it got a lot of play or the recognition that it deserved, but it's a great setting talking about monsters because it's World War II, right? And it's the D-Day paratrooper. Did I tell you, side note, losing the thread. I met a World War II veteran and he was a pilot in the Army Air Corps that dropped these paratroopers into France.
Really?
The day before D-Day.
Just a hard dick motherfucker.
Dude, so that's still spry, still all there. Anyway, really cool experience.
That's awesome. Those guys don't get enough credit there. They're slowly dying off.
Dude,
and if you see a World War II veteran's hand, you grab it and you go up and you go down and you shake it rigorously. Not too rigorously because they're old and you might hurt them, but they appreciate a firm handshake. But anyways, Overlord. So basically, for those of you who haven't seen Overlord, it's so American paratroopers are dropped behind enemy lines and they end up pretty much trying to get or destroy a radio transmitter that's behind enemy lines. And as the soldiers approach the target, they soon begin to realize that, in this Nazi-occupied village, there's some bad shit going on with Nazi scientists and whatnot, and they end up just having to fight their way out an army of undead.
Now, remind me, I'm trying to think, because it's been a while since I saw it in the theaters, but it's like some sort of experimentation that's reanimating dead flesh, right?
Exactly. So they'll take the dead fighters.
They actually have I remember there's a shot of a well. There's actually extracting some stuff or something like that, isn't there? I think you remember that part towards the end. There's maybe it's just because they throw the dude down in it and he crawls back up.
Really?
But dude, this is the first time I ever saw what's his name? Wyatt Russell, Kurt Russell's kid.
Oh, really?
He's one of the guys. He plays the sergeant who's he's real bitter, and he kind of goes over the edge, but he has a bit of a redemption at the end,
Nice.
He gets hooked on. The guy hooks him on by his shoulder onto that hook and leaves him hanging there, and he has to pull himself off of it.
Yikes!
But I didn't.
The meat hook.
The meat hook. Oh.
The meat hook. Yeah, that movie's freaking badass. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. And it's kind of interesting because did you see Frankenstein's Army?
I didn't see Frankenstein's Army. I've heard of it.
Yeah.
You see the trailer and it's it looks like a video game or something.
Yeah, it looks like it's like Doom, but World War II.
Yes.
And it's a lot of people, and that came out in 2013, but it has a very similar plot of World War II veterans stumbling across this factory, which ends up being this, Frankenstein's working for the Nazis.
Now, these guys aren't these guys Russians in Frankenstein's Army? Aren't they Russian soldiers? Am I right in that?
It's been a while since I've seen the movie, but I think they're Germans.
Okay.
Because, when remember the last, bad people, it's always a Nazi.
It's always
or a Russian. It can go both ways.
The scientist is a German guy, right?
Yeah, but then it's Dr. Frankenstein.
Dr. Frankenstein, yeah.
Yeah.
But the guys who stumble upon his thing.
They're Russians.
They are Russians.
They are Russians.
Okay,
they're not American paratroopers.
I just want to get that.
See. Yeah. So
very important piece of lore.
Exactly.
Because everyone's Googling it right now.
Yeah, no, they are Russians. They're not American paratroopers. But the plot is very similar. They stumble across this experiment and they end up having to fight their way up. And they're not even zombies. They're just monsters.
It's almost like a steampunk kind of hodgepodge. He's grafted. There's even the famous guy that there's a lawsuit. You know about the lawsuit?
No.
The propeller head dude. Because in Resident Evil Village, I think that there's a monster that has a propeller head.
Oh, and sued
they're like,
them.
you stole that idea
stole
from
that idea
us.
from
You know?
us, you
So,
bad.
but anyway, it's like they're like grafted machinery onto people.
Yeah, and they're just like abominations, pretty much.
Yeah,
but that's pretty cool. I've always been into FX and like movie makeup and like just monster creation is like something I'm super into. So that movie was like really good when I was coming up. It like fulfilled all my wants and needs. Is it a good movie? No, it's terrible. But I mean, it's entertaining as hell. So if you like monsters and creation and seeing like what the mind can come up with, check out Frankenstein's Army and then compare it to Overlord and let us know if they have definitely the same plot.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, that one was a great one. Let's see, what else do we got on here?
I mean, like one of the obvious ones is like Starship Troopers. It just immediately comes to mind,
I'd expect you to do the same for me. Dude, that movie is a staple. Not only do I have personal attachment to it because it was like, I don't know what it is with the military and Starship Troopers, but it is one of the most like quoted movies. It's one of the most talked, at least in my experience. Like in my platoon, Starship Troopers was like number one.
It's so fun.
I mean, I had a team leader with a Starship Troopers tattoo. The ones they all get.
Really?
The ones
he
they
got
all
the mobile infantry tattoo.
Yeah, he got the mobile infantry tattoo on his leg, and
man.
it's. I'm telling you, I have a very personal connection to this movie because my team leader was obsessed with it. We had other team leaders obsessed with it, and they would just quote it all the time.
That's really funny.
I'm from Buenos Aires, and I say, kill them all, man.
The only good bug is a dead bug. It is very quotable. The thing about that movie, like on one level, I don't know if you like watched any like videos on it, which, if I want to understand anything on any level deeper than my own passing thoughts, I have to watch a YouTube video about it.
You have to.
But, like there's a lot of like social commentary, like 'cause it's basically a fascist state.
Mm-hmm.
It's about the tolls of war and how these people like they're like young idealistic kids, and then by the end of the movie they're like battle hardened and weary,
warriors,
and it's like that takes a toll on their mind and their bodies. But anyway, like, but on a certain level, you just get jazzed like when they're in that kind of. I think we talked about like Last Stand episode. When they're being surrounded by these thousands of bugs.
They're coming out of the ground and everything.
You just can't help it. You root for them because you're like, you got this. Get out of there.
Yeah, not to mention co-ed showers.
Co-ed showers
were like, that's what the infantry nowadays need. If you want to boost morale, it's just co-ed showers. If you're incorporating females into the infantry role, which have already been done, you got to do co-ed showers,
That's right, man. I mean,
they got to be part of it.
Do it. Let's do it all the way.
Exactly, all the way. Jumpmaster. Yeah, no, Starship Troopers, so awesome. One of the scenes that I love is I actually quoted it in the beginning when he's like, go up on that ridge and try to get signal, and the guy goes up there and all of a sudden this bug comes out of nowhere and just eats the RTO, and he's like, ah! And then he puts him out of his misery, the platoon sergeant. He shoots him.
Michael Ironside. Yeah.
He shoots him and he turns to everybody and he's like, I'd expect you to do the same for me. And it's just like, hell yeah. Not to mention the battlefield promotion in that movie. It's like this private, the main character just ends up becoming platoon sergeant in a matter of like a week.
Yeah, because people above him
just die so fast.
Yeah, he's like, what does he say? He's like, you're it until you die or I find somebody better or something like that. To Michael Ironside. I just remember that scene, the very first scene in the beginning with the classroom. And he's like, armed conflict has solved more disputes than any other method. He's like total like anti-democracy. He's like, no, they just died. We just killed them, and that was the way it should be done.
Yes, this is the way, and it's no other way. It's my way. But no, Starship Troopers, amazing movie. One of my all-time favorites. Well, I mean, now that we've rubbed one out to the actual movie, why did we put that on this list?
Well, I mean, monsters, I feel like, why do we have monsters in movies, right? They're like a way for us to explore like our fears or like our prejudices or something like that, and I think when it comes to like bugs, I think everybody can get down with the idea of being afraid of like a giant bug.
Yeah, man, I hate spiders.
Yeah, I do too, man. It's everybody like on a visceral level kind of can relate to that. They got the soldier bugs, and then you got the giant like, you get the big brain bug.
Bug
has it's so like weak and stuff like that, and it just rolls out. It's like a big blobby like Jabba the Hutt bug, but it has that one spike, and it sucks your brains out. It sticks in the guy, and it's funny because it's like sucks it out, like it makes him like his head gets all concave and like like his eyes are all rolling. It's so gross.
And I mean, they have a whole structure of like military too. So I mean, the human race comes together when there's like a common enemy. So
which doesn't happen very often.
It doesn't.
And if it does, it only happens for like a day.
Yeah, exactly.
And then we're back to our old.
And
whatever.
then we're back to killing each other. But bugs, like you said, are a pretty good reason, especially when our existence is on the line and they just want to take out everything.
Yeah,
we come together.
Well, in the story, it's like we are the aggressors.
Yeah,
that's part of the commentary. It's like, why don't we just leave them alone? They're like, oh yeah, shut up. but like the bug, so like it's like they're giant bugs, but then there's like thousands of them. So you get the fear factor of looking out over the field and watching like thousands, and they're just merciless because like bug societies, bug
Are you a bug expert now? Yeah, I've seen ants.
I saw ants. I know what a queen is. But like it's like unfeeling, uncompromising, uncaring. They just do.
They have one purpose.
Yeah, and they have a central
to serve their queen.
Their blobby brain queen.
Queen.
The Brain Queen. We gotta copyright that. That's pretty good.
Brain Queen.
I'm gonna have a rock band called the Brain Queens.
Brain Queens. Yeah. Heavy. Real heavy.
And then we'll have a song called Brain Spike.
Brain Spike.
Yeah, and suck your brains out. Okay, let's save that for our What If We Were in Rock Bands episode.
Yeah.
The military versus rock bands.
Yeah, rock bands. What would our military rock band name be? Spoiler, Six for the Creed would be my rock band name. Mm-hmm. Anyways, that's for another episode. Keep you thinking, why would he name his band Six for the Creed?
I want to know now.
Okay. Well, you won't. Find out. Because we have to keep going on this list. Because Chris will get upset at us for getting off track. But, okay, the next one I put on here is Battle Los Angeles. Have you seen Battle Los Angeles?
I haven't, man.
It's actually...
You're going to have to take this one. I watched some scenes from it just so I could have like something to talk about,
But, no, it's great. I mean, obviously, alien invasion, and it happens right in our backyard, Los Angeles.
The monsters, yeah.
And this squad of U.S. Marines goes forth, and is like literally the last line of defense between this invasion. I chose this one because the military aspects, just as far as just like accuracies, are very good.
Oh, okay.
Like the uniforms and the rifles and the tactics are really, they're pretty spot on. So whoever the military advisor for that movie was, kudos to you.
That's cool.
Yeah, but the aliens, they're ruthless too, and it's weird because like every movie, just like we said in the beginning, and monsters can be aliens, they can be zombies, they can be pretty much anything that isn't human and is just hell bent on our destruction. Yeah, those aliens in this movie, it kind of makes me weary of like, they're like UFOs exist now. Uh-huh. And it's like, dude, if aliens came down here, we'd be fucked because they're so much more advanced than us. And like all these movies that have to incorporate any sort of alien, they're like, the aliens have the biological advantage on us in all ways. Like they have we have 2 arms and they have 17 and each of their arms has a spike on it that they can impale you with.
Their skulls are made of titanium.
Yeah, and we just have M4s with 5.56 that we have to reload, and they don't have to reload because they just have spikes on their arms.
Well, I was watching some scenes, but it does seem like if you take away the fantastic nature of them being aliens, they does seem like just an opposition force. Like they've got soldiers. Mm-hmm. I saw one scene where they had a vehicle, like a gunship or something like that. What's in the movie? Is it just overwhelming numbers, or do they have more advanced technology and stuff?
They have a little bit more advanced technology.
Okay.
I mean, they have some burst rifles and they have things that just reduce people to a pulp. Where if we shoot them, it's like a battle. It's like a gunshot wound, and we can plug those. But it's almost remember District 9?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Where their weapons were we could shoot you with an AK, but their weapons would turn you inside out and then melt your brain at the same time while putting your arms where your legs should be,
and sending you back in time.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, so Battle Los Angeles, that's a really cool one, just because it's a classic example. Who are you gonna call? What this pretty much episode's about. It's aliens come forth. Yeah, probably you're gonna get the kicking and fighting Marines coming in, especially if it's in California, because there are no major U.S. army boat posts.
You're right.
Here.
Yeah.
I mean, you have the National Guard, but I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm not fighting with those dudes.
You're egressing.
Yeah, I'm egressing. But the Marines, you got Camp Pendleton here, so that would make most logical sense. Yeah, so Battle Los Angeles, pretty bitchin' as far as military tactics and fighting.
Yeah, the monsters really kind of like, it's really not like it's fantastic in that they're aliens, but it's more like kind of a Red Dawn situation. Like, what if we got invaded on our own home soil? You know? So I think that there's like, I like that kind of stuff because it almost kind of calls upon the kind of, a bit of like a nationalistic kind of patriotic kind of pride. It's like, this is our home.
Yeah, like Starship Troopers, we got to band together against one enemy threat, regardless of opinions or beliefs or morals or
we'll
values.
Worry about that afterwards.
Exactly. Once we get this threat, then we can go back to choking each other.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. Dude, I put this one in here for you because I thought there was a badass Halo jump scene in this movie. It's really good. Godzilla from 2014. Basically, the revamp, not the one with Vince Vaughn.
Yeah.
Do you remember that one?
Wait.
Isn't Vince Vaughn in real
Are you
big?
talking about the one like the one like like the early 2000s kind of Godzilla with Matthew
It was around
Broderick?
1999. Matthew Broderick. P. Diddy did the theme song.
Yeah, come with me. I'm gonna do the whole song now. Yeah, the Matthew Broderick one, not Vince Vaughn.
Oh, he's not in God. Oh, I could have sworn Vince Vaughn's in
We're
here.
keeping that in there because
keep it in there. Show me how ignorant I am.
Your failure.
Maybe you're thinking of Hank Azaria. He's the cameraman.
Yeah, that's who I'm.
I get those
thinking
two mixed up all the time.
Really?
Yeah, I do too. One is like the super successful actor guy, and the other one's Vince Vaughn.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes and see, I'm looking at a picture of him where he's all wet and he kind of looks like Vince Vaughn. Okay,
sure, but like not at all.
Okay, anyways, Vince Vaughn. My girlfriend loves Vince Vaughn.
Really?
Yeah,
that's kind of weird. I met Vince Vaughn once.
Did you?
Yeah, I forget. It was a biopic that just came out recently with Kristen Stewart, and he plays like an FBI agent. It was like 4 a.m. We were all just like standing around. He's like, "How you guys doing?" I'm like, "You're Vince Vaughn." He's like, "Don't talk to me."
No, I was like, okay, whatever, man.
No,
fuck you.
Anyway, Godzilla 2014.
Yeah,
Bryan Cranston. What is it? Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Yeah.
Basically Quicksilver and the Scarlet Witch from the Marvel movie.
Yeah, literally. I mean, this Godzilla was what kind of launched the entire the
reboot.
Yeah, the reboot franchise where you got like Godzilla versus Kong and Kong, and they're all
monsters. And stuff
I kind of like how they combine those two universes. I'll be honest, because they're two iconic monsters. I mean,
I mean, and they I'm sure there was some legal thing where like they were going to lose the rights and they were going to revert back to Japan or something if they didn't do another movie. But this one was cool because the Aaron Taylor Johnson's character is in the military, so he has an integral role to play, and there is that awesome. They have to halo jump into the city.
Yeah, and it's like quiet, and you
San
just
Francisco,
hear,
right?
It's either San Francisco. I thought it might have been East Coast.
It's San Francisco.
Is it San? Thank you, Chris. Okay, yeah, but San Francisco, and they all have the smoke trails going, and there's no music except for the wind and a slight person in the background going. And it's sick, and it's silent because as they're haloing in, they're like they pass the cloud layer, and they're just like haloing and next to Godzilla, and he's like moving around
like
and fighting.
Yeah,
and he's and they're just like, what the fuck are these guys gonna do? Why? What's the advantage of haloing in this situation?
Like
why you couldn't just drive in?
Yeah, right. Yeah,
I don't understand that, but it makes for a hell of a scene.
Great visual.
It's a great visual.
So the idea of like this is with like the classic giant monster thing.
Yeah,
like what do you like? We were talking about it just now.
Kaiju.
What are you gonna do?
What
against this giant 50-foot monster? And it's not that Godzilla is like the bad guy in this one. They're just giant monsters fighting each other, and they cause destruction all around them.
Yeah, it's all what is the word here? I'm blanking on my military knowledge. Sorry, folks. You listen
coffee like I do.
Yeah, I should probably drink a cup of coffee today. But I mean, you have like civilian casualties as far as just like causing damage to everything around you.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the military would have a big butt.
Do you mean like collateral damage?
Collateral damage. Thank you, Chris. Thank you. I don't know what I'd do without you.
You'd just be stewing.
Yeah, I mean, you're letting them kill each other essentially, but you were concerned about the collateral damage. Because I mean, for example, if you want to branch off to another movie real quick, Cloverfield.
Yep.
Like they end up sacrificing that entire city
Basically.
in order to kill this thing.
That to me is I would say like a pretty realistic scenario. Because at that point, with so much destruction, like you're not trying to like pinpoint accuracy, like kill the monster or something like that.
Yeah.
You're drawing a line around the city, like this is where we stop and we bomb everything inside this line.
Exactly. This is what we're willing to give to kill one thing.
But like the military, like you talk about collateral damage and stuff like that, that would be a big part of what the military would be responsible for, evacuation and, like a refugee type situation,
exactly, for all
the stuff.
The San Franciscoans and all the homeless up there, they just joined them.
Yeah.
They were just join them. But that whole franchise is really good. Like I said, I like how they combine. Did you see the newest Godzilla versus King Kong?
Yeah.
It's like
I didn't like it all that much.
You didn't like it all that much?
Some of the monster fights were kind of fun.
They were fun. I mean, as far as just like, am I gonna put this movie up for an Oscar? Probably not. I found it kind of weird how they're like, oh, they're from the center of the center.
The whole Hollow Earth theory.
Yeah, the Hollow Earth, and it's like they have these ships that can transport it, and like for some reason King Kong can just go there, but they need ships.
And then for some reason Godzilla can blow a hole in the entire Earth.
Yeah, just
like
with
hundreds
his
of
beam.
miles down with his breath, And
then King Kong has opposable thumbs and just flexes really hard on Godzilla because he can carry a hatchet
and open a can of peaches.
Yeah, or something. He's like, oh, I have opposable thumbs. Fuck you. I am the greater monster.
I feel like when it comes to Godzilla, you create a perimeter. Like you get a few miles out or some sort of distance away from where they would be, create a perimeter, block off maybe major avenues of like egress and ingress, so like monitor, satellite monitoring, things like that, flyovers and stuff, air assets and things like that.
It's a game of chess essentially. Like, where's this guy going? You have to utilize all your reconnaissance assets to kind of draw a map of where potentially he's going to go, so we can set up perimeters to either funnel him to where we need him to go. But at the end of the day, what the hell are we gonna do?
The Moab.
Mother
of all bombs. Is we drop it right on him.
But I mean, doesn't he? You think about Godzilla, and he's like, okay, well, he's born from these nuclear testings, right?
So he's radioactive already.
He is. So he obviously has resistance to nuclear.
Well, I mean, the radiation. I mean, I think in the movie they say like, oh yeah, the initial plan was to.
If you or someone you know is having thoughts of suicide or experiencing a mental health or substance use crisis, 988 provides 24/7 compassionate support and connection to trained counselors. When you call, text, or chat 988, you'll be quickly connected to trained counselors who will listen to your concerns, provide support, and connect you to additional resources if needed. There is hope. The Lifeline works. You are not alone. For 24/7 support, just call, text, or chat 988.
Blow them up with a nuclear bomb. Like, the radiation wouldn't hurt him, but it's still a blast of epic proportions,
Yes.
That was the hope that they had, that they would just all be destroyed,
Yeah.
But then, what's his name? He says that famous line, let them fight.
Let them fight.
It's Ken Watanabe.
Ken Watanabe, I think.
Watanabe.
Between the two of us, we got. Yeah, let them fight. I love that's his whole purpose in that movie, was just to say that line, because he, like Millie Bobby Brown in Millie Bobby Brown, like Millie Bobby Brown in Godzilla vs. King Kong, he served no purpose. Like, she served no purpose in that movie. I don't know if you guys noticed this.
Now that I realize it, she literally does nothing, and she like gets with that podcast guy, the one that's the conspiracy theorist, and they end up transporting themselves to like the other side of the world through like a trans system.
Follow them around,
and then that's it. And then she meets up with her dad, and is like, Dad.
They literally do one thing, and it's not even her that does it, but the other dude like hacks the system and like shuts down Mechagodzilla for something, or like turns off. I don't know what he does, but like he does something, and that's literally all they do. They don't do anything else.
Yeah, useless. Oh man.
Let's move on. I hate Godzilla.
Me too.
Movies.
No. Okay. Well, I put this one in here.
I like this one.
This is a really good one
for very specific reasons. But
it's a very deep movie.
Dude, it's a dark
it's
movie.
tragic. It's dark.
It's sad.
But the military plays a very small part in this movie. But it's where
part.
but it's where literally you're like, ah!
We're talking about the 2007 movie The Mist. Before we get too far into it, The Mist.
Not to be confused with Stephen King's The Fog, right?
John Carpenter.
Is that John Carpenter's The Fog?
Well, actually, this is a story by Stephen King, and it was directed by Frank Darabont.
Thank you.
But they actually, it's an interesting thing. We can jump right to the end if we want to, but let's talk about the monsters first. But like, he changed the ending. Frank Darabont changed the ending, and Stephen King said he liked that ending better.
Really? He's like, oh, man.
Because he's a horrible person.
Yeah, because he came down from his psychedelics, and he's like, oh, this makes sense.
Universe turtle flying through the cosmos.
Oh, man. Yeah, but
The
no.
Mist, yeah.
The Mist. It has a lot of cool, well, I mean, not really cool, but a lot of, like, monsters / creatures that end up rolling in this mist that just ends up taking over. What's this small town? Do you know where is it located?
It's up in like Maine or something.
Yeah, it's something East Coast.
If it's a Stephen King story, it's in Maine.
Okay, so it's probably in Maine. And so this fog rolls, there's mist rolls, and in the mist are just animal, like these blood sucking, just different type of human eating creatures.
Yeah, they're like wild nightmare versions of stuff you might find out in the natural animal kingdom. There's spiders.
Yeah, there's spiders. There's like these flying like freaking pterodactyl things. With
there's little like bug mosquito things.
Yeah,
giant stilt walking like huge.
Yeah, and they just have like a bunch of tentacles coming off their back and everything. Really cool visuals, but the entire movie is really dark and eerie. So it basically starts with these civilians, and they all get sheltered up in a grocery store.
Yeah.
And like, not only do they end up having like to protect themselves from the creatures, but then this whole, anarchy arises, and this lady takes over.
Yeah, the Christian lady.
Yeah, the Christian lady
becomes evil.
She becomes evil. Yeah.
Very accurate. Yeah.
Very accurate. She's just like, you're all gonna die in hell, and then she's like, kill you.
Expiation.
Yeah, and it's just crazy, and then they finally decide to like leave the grocery store because shit's going fucking wild with these crazy people now. And they try their luck, and it's correct me if I'm wrong, it's a father and his son.
Yep.
And 2 other people.
3 other people. An old guy and an old girl, and then his friend, the blonde lady. And they try to make it out, and they run out of gas, and they're just on the side of the road. And you go ahead. You tell them.
Okay.
You tell them.
I will tell them.
For those that don't know.
So they're,
Spoilers ahead.
Yeah, spoilers ahead. Turn this podcast, or fast forward if you want to watch it. Not because the movie, it's when it happens, you're like, oh, it all comes up to that. It all adds up to that moment. And they're in the car, and they run out of gas after driving for God knows how long. And the dad's driving, and he's got a pistol. And he looks over at his son, and they realize, what's about to come. Like, obviously, they're not going to make it, so he's going to take it into their own hands, and they're going to have choice in their hands of whether, how they want to go, not to be eaten by these creatures, because you can hear them. They're like, you can hear them on the outside of the fog in the distance, because they just pass these giant, like, tentacle freaking walking giraffe things.
Yeah.
And so you just see the scene pans out, and you just see the car. And you see 4 muzzle flashes just and it comes back, and he's in the car, and the dad has the pistol, and his son's dead, and all the people in the back seat that were with him is dead, and he goes to pull the trigger on himself, and it goes click, and he's out of ammo. And he's like, ah! He's like freaking out. And you're like, oh my God. And literally 10 seconds later, the U.S. military rolls in with flamethrowers and rescues him.
And he's just standing by the side
and he's
of the road.
standing by the road.
Fog clears.
Yeah, the fog
and he
clears.
sees people. I think they might have even been from the town who are being evac'd.
Yeah,
by the
evac'd by the military.
The military's got flamethrowers. They're blowing things away. Everything's fine. And he's yelling. He's going, no.
Yeah.
If only he would have waited
maybe 5 minutes or something, because the military's coming, the fog is clearing, and they have like flamethrowers, and they're torching like these eggs on a tree, and they're killing everything in their path. And oh man, that movie is fucking crazy.
There's a lot to talk about with this movie, because the first thing is this, we talk about who's the real monster. It's the people. That to me is the point of this movie. You know, because they're trapped in there, and they all start like turning on each other and stuff, and it's like the depravity of humanity, how we turn on each other. The cool thing about the monsters in this movie for me were that they weren't like evil things. They were like you were talking about. They were just animals from a different dimension. They were just kind of like doing their thing, you know, like they were scary,
they're
and
hungry.
creepy looking. Yeah. There's even that one point where those giant mosquito things break into the store and they're flying around. And one character, it lands on her and she tries to hit it and bat it away and it stings her and she dies. There's the other lady who ends up being the horrible religious cult lady. It lands on her and she's like kind of stops. She's like, Lord, your will be done. And it kind of looks at her and then it just flies away. You know? And so it's this idea that like these things are just animals kind of just like feeding and exploring and grazing, but the real monsters in the movie are the horrible human beings, especially the Christian lady.
Yeah. Oh, you Christians.
Oh, you horrible Christians out
man,
there.
you're the devil.
Look, like I know there's some bad Christians out there, so I want you to know I am sympathetic, and I'm just sorry that stuff happened. Yeah.
It's okay. But yeah, no, that movie's so good. I had to throw it on the list.
Okay.
Just one or two more. Just talk for like another 6 or 7 minutes, and then we'll go into the game.
Okay. Sounds good. You pick 2.
Okay, I want to talk about Spectral. So
Okay, talk about Spectral.
Do you want to finish off? We want to finish The Mist.
Didn't we just finish The Mist?
Is that good? Are you good with that?
I'm okay with that.
Okay, cool.
Okay, cool.
All right.
Now,
I want to talk about this movie called Spectral, and it's a Netflix movie from 2016, starring James Badgedale, Max Martini, and I think it's fun. It's like a fun little self-contained sci-fi movie. James Badgedale's character, he works for DARPA. He's a super genius, and they're having this. I think it's the Maldives or Mulgrove. It's some Eastern Bloc country. It's like a war-torn country, and he gets called in. Don't correct me. Just let me go with it. He gets called in because there are these invisible, specters, like these ghost type creatures that are killing people. And they when they find them, their life is sucked out of them, and they're super cold, I think. And he gets called in to figure out what's going on. It turns out that there's this experimentation that they did inside the town that almost resurrected the consciousnesses of these people that they were experimenting on. And there's something about Bose-Einstein condensate, which I don't know exactly what it is, but it's a theoretical, it's an actual thing when something gets super cold. There's these particles that exist, but they're made up of these things. So it's why they're invisible, and they have to see them with these special spectral glasses, and stuff. And then he creates these pulse rifles so they can fight against them. And then with a Delta Force team led by Max Martini,
of course,
they go in there, and they try to shut it all down and stuff. But I like the idea of it starts off almost like a horror movie where you think that they're ghosts, because they're invisible, and they, and then they're just touching people and they're just dying instantly and stuff. But you find out that there's a scientific explanation for it.
That's kind of cool.
And I like it because it's cool because James Badgedale doesn't necessarily play a soldier; he plays a scientist, and he gets partnered with, the Delta Force guys. And stuff.
That's like World War Z.
Yeah, World War Z. Yeah, and the cool thing, the reason I like this movie for this episode is the idea of attachments we get this day and age. I think it's still that way, but it's very modular, the military.
Yeah.
We want to have this unit attached to this unit, this part of the unit attached to this, and we can kind of cut and paste for different missions for different purposes.
Absolutely. Yes.
So that's kind of what James Badgedale, his characters, they bring him in for a specific mission, and it ends up augmenting these Delta Force guys so they can overcome the obstacle.
Very cool. Very cool little integration of different components of the military. Is he a military scientist, or is he just
what's DARPA? DARPA's its own thing, right? That's DARPA's the government's it's an organization within the government, and they are the ones that. I think they're responsible for researching all sorts of wild, crazy
DARPA. I've never even heard of these guys. The
Really?
government agency, Defensive Advanced Research Project Agency, is a research and development agency of the United States Department of Defense responsible for the development of emerging technologies for use by the military. I had no idea.
DARPA does all the crazy stuff, Cam.
Yeah. They look into they're the guys that are thinking about all the wazoo stuff and the crazy. They're probably working on pulse rifles. So anyway, Spectral, really cool idea in terms of a monster starting out with some sort of maybe supernatural expectation,
Mm-hmm.
but turning it into more of like a scientific kind of explanation and stuff. Kind of like if anybody's ever read I Am Legend, the original I Am Legend book. It's kind of like, it kind of brought vampires from the mystical into like the scientific era.
Oh, they're vampires?
Yeah, they are vampires, but it's
just creatures.
No, yeah, it's a vampire thing, but not to lose the thread. But this guy, he goes and he studies them, and he starts creating notes and like talking about their blood and stuff. So that was like kind of one of the major.
And then his
books.
dog dies.
And then his dog dies.
And you cry.
Yeah, and I cried a lot. But don't watch the movies. All the movies suck compared to the book, in my opinion. But anyway, let's give me one or two more, man. Let's talk about one or two more.
Well, I saw you threw aliens on here, as you always do.
No, okay.
So at least I said you threw it on
Okay, all
here.
right.
But
we're not going to say anything about that.
We were not going to say anything.
Literally
about
every episode.
Every episode, we have to give them something more. But it looks like you put tell me about Dog Soldiers.
Oh, Dog
man.
Soldiers. Yeah, man. This is a perfect monsters versus the military movie because it's in England. So it's a Neil Marshall. He did The Descent. He does horror movies, like that's like his thing. But anyway, Kevin McKidd, Scottish actor, and these guys. They're doing a military exercise up in it might be Scotland, but it's definitely in England.
Scotland.
Yeah, Scotland. Definitely Kevin McKidd.
Yeah.
But basically, they get attacked by werewolves.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and they get attacked during this exercise, and they switch to live rounds. They're trying to run away. They get holed up in this cabin. There's this woman there who kind of, she's like. No, it's like a legendary thing and stuff like that. But it was done in like a very practical effects sort of way,
really?
And stuff like that. And it's real dark. And then the woman ends up being like, she's like, oh, by the way, I'm the head of the werewolf.
I was about to say that sounds like something that would definitely happen in a movie where you end up bunkering down with her, and she's just like, oh. Well, and mysteriously one or two of your people are dying and you can't figure out how the fuck they got in. Like, who left the door open?
Yeah, yep.
And she's just like, I am the queen of the werewolves. So that's cool, man. No, I was actually when I was looking up a lot of these movies, Dog Soldiers kept popping up, but it was like there are so many movies that I haven't seen that I'm like, okay, I don't have this much time to dedicate to watching all these movies to put this on here. But I mean, maybe I should just get no life. That's what I need. And just
right, that's what we need. That's what full-time content creation means. It means you have no life. All you do is watch pop culture stuff and play video games, and you don't know anyone anymore. You don't understand human psychology. Mm-mm. You just make commentary in your room all day.
My best friend is now my phone and my camera.
Exactly.
And you. And it's like that's how it should be.
What
right?
more do you need, really?
What more do I need in life?
But no, Dog Soldiers I highly recommend because they do like the run and gun. There's some tactical stuff in there, and I thought they did a pretty good job of like, because we're talking about this like, what do you do if there's like a freaking werewolf? These
bullets are brass. They're not silver,
right? Yeah, and how would you even know? Like because the idea of I always love in the monster movie when they're confronted with some supernatural thing and they say, "Hey man, this is real life. This isn't a movie." As if to say, like, forget all the mythology from the other movies that you've seen with the same monster. We're going to add our own mythology.
Exactly. It's like, oh, I've seen American Werewolf in London. Like, you know exactly what you need to do, man. Yeah. Like, come on. That came out way before 2002. Use your mind. Adapt, overcome, use silver bullets. All right, so I think that makes this a good time to transition to our game here. And I'm excited for this game because I came up with it. This is my doing.
I'm less excited because I don't like losing.
It's okay. Hey, I actually put a lot of effort into this game. So if you hate it, I'll hate you. So no pressure.
Take it personally.
Okay, but this one, I call it Interview with a Monster. Rules are very plain and simple, right? So I wrote a script as if you were interviewing a monster for like a job interview, right? And you said, tell me a little bit about yourself, right? So I'm going to give you the script, and based off my description of myself, you're going to guess who I am.
I love it, man. This is like some method acting stuff.
Yeah, sounds simple.
Get into the head of
Well, it's not. It's okay. And for some reason, I was writing some of these monsters, I gave them like personas. Like I got one dude who's like an Australian nerd for some reason. It's weird. I'll try to do the accent, but I might butcher it.
You got to do it.
But, okay. Are you ready? So the first one, there is no warm-up.
Okay.
There's no warm-up. Cool. We're just driving straight into this. Okay. Right. Are you ready, my friend?
Go.
Okay. Hey, fellas. My real name is Craig. I'm originally from another planet, but my siblings and I tend to end up a lot of different places. Growing up was hard. There was always someone trying to stop my larva from growing inside them or torch my family's eggs. However, I always found enjoyment through playing pranks like surprising people from the inside of their chests. The looks on their faces were always priceless. Now, I currently work hard doing whatever the queen needs. I just have to be careful not to get any cuts or scratches, because otherwise my blood will create a real bad mess. Who am I?
I love it. You know who you sound like? You sound like Taika Waititi's character from Thor Ragnarok.
That's exactly what I was going for.
Hey man, how's it going? Yeah, you come in here.
Yeah, the revolution has begun.
Want to take the spaceship with us? Well, that's great, man. It's a good description because it's the xenomorphs from Alien.
Yes, you got that right. I said there was no warm-ups, but I figured that first one would be a good warm-up for you. And that's why I said I don't want to talk about aliens because I already put this one in here. So good job. You got the first one. Now it gets a little different. All right. Are you ready for monster number 2?
Let's do it.
Okay. What's up, guys? I'd shake your hand, but I wouldn't want to make a mess. Let's see, what would you need to know about me that you haven't seen in the bazillion movies that they have already made about me? Well, for starters, I didn't always look this messed up. Actually, I used to be an honest, good-hearted serial killer. My victims' parents were the ones that ended up burning me alive. Springwood, Ohio is full of lames. If I had to describe myself in one word, it would probably be dreamer. Who am I?
That's good. It's so good, man. I love the description. I wouldn't want to make a mess by shaking your hand. But yeah, that's Freddy Krueger.
There you go. Hell yeah.
Oh, that's great, man.
You're doing good. I don't know if I made these too easy. If I did,
what they're really enjoyable to watch because as I start to get it, then you say more stuff. I'm like, oh, that's really clever because you would have to know something about Freddy Krueger and his mythology and stuff and his lore to have like a funny, in-depth description. So it's great.
Yeah, it's okay. I tried. Like I told you, I wrote all of this, so I expect you to have a great time. All right, moving on. Monster number 3. This is probably the most challenging one, but for some reason, I gave this guy like a real hood persona. I don't know why, but I'll try to do it. All right,
get it.
Yo, dog, I'm pissed the fuck off because there's these damn submarines disturbing my rest at the bottom of the ocean. I was just chilling for a long time eating nothing but seaweed nectar. That's how I got this big, if you were wondering. I don't regret destroying New York at all. When I got there was the first thing I did was devour this huge lady just chilling in the middle of the ocean. But it turned out to be a statue or some shit, so I sent that head flying. I brought my little homies with me too. Don't let them bite you, because if they do, I hope you like exploding from the inside out. But, for some odd reason, I don't feel like I really belong here. Like this ain't my world. You feel me?
He's from a hood far, far away. Yeah. It's funny because I don't know if so it's the monster from Cloverfield.
Yeah, you got it. Hell yeah.
But how it's like you're watching a tape that's been taped over somebody like this relationship that they had. But apparently I haven't gone back and checked, but at the very end where it shows them at Coney Island and their thing in the very deep background you can see a splash of the monster kind of landing.
Really?
So somebody told me I want to go back and watch that clip sometime.
See, because I remember when we were discussing the whole paradox one, where you're like, there's a chance that they're from another dimension, and like the egg was teleported and whatnot. It was weird looking into this movie's like fandom and wiki. There was like a million different origin stories. So I just had to go with like my gut.
The first one and then Cloverfield Lane are my favorite because I understand what he's trying to like. I guess he was trying to create like a unified universe, like it all was taking place within the same universe. I just don't think he should have. Like Cloverfield Paradox was just a mess. Like you could tell that they tacked on and filmed other stuff to this movie that obviously had nothing to do with Cloverfield in order to try to make it be a part of Cloverfield.
Just a waste of money, huh?
Yeah.
Well,
but
dude,
that's great, dude. I love the accents were the best. One of the best parts. Man.
Was it? Okay, I'm glad. Well, you did really good. You got all 3 of them. Next time I'll have to make them way harder. But I thought it was kind of creative to do it this way.
No,
so
awesome.
I hope you guys at home got all the monsters correct as well. Because you're driving, focus on driving. Don't want you causing any accidents, trying to think of these characters.
Nobody just sits down and listens to our podcast.
No.
Apparently,
I mean,
who does
doing
something?
Always, you have to be doing. I mean,
Get out
I
there
know.
And live your life, man.
I know when I'm listening to a podcast, I'm usually doing something.
Yeah.
Just to pass the time.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm never just sitting there in my lazy boy chair with my tobacco pipe in my hand with this glass of whiskey, and I'm like,
Taking
what
it in,
what podcast shall I listen to where the fire in the background is going? That's
And
how
the Labrador.
the Labrador's sitting on my my polar bear carpet.
With the stack of books.
Yeah, it's really dark. There's no lights. It's just a fire, and I'm looking into the fire, listening to Joe Rogan
and this podcast.
and this podcast too. Well, that's it, man.
Yeah.
I think that's all we got for this episode. Episode 22, baby.
Yeah.
Finishing strong. Well, if you guys like this episode, we drop a new episode every Wednesday. Next episode should be 23 if I can count properly. So that's exciting. Yep, and like we always say before, if there is any questions that you guys might have, go ahead and send us an email to pcfmpodcast@gmail.com or shoot us a message on our Instagram at pcfmpodcast. Israel, you want to say anything?
Yeah, I do. I do,
Okay.
Cameron. I'm
What do you
glad
wanna
you
say?
gave me the space,
I did.
to
I just felt
express
like I was
myself.
taking too much control.
No. Well, if you want to come and hang out with me a little bit more, I stream on Twitch every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Go to twitch.tv/myhappyself. And Cameron, what about you?
Yeah, man. And if you want to check out my streetwear brand, Kick God Apparel, you can find us on our website at www.kickgodapparel or visit our IG at Kick God Apparel. Yeah, that's the name of the. For some reason, I wanted to add a .com at the end of there, but
I think there's only one thing left to do.
that is cue music.